on something that is utility, and I think
Yeah.
Beichuan, they just need to get the ball rolling very early on. Well, on the other hand, RNG, Wei, he has been really reliant on this Vi or Wukong pick ever since the Maokai changes, and that needs to be paired with Angel, where he has something that's comfortable to play off, like something like the Ahri.
Okay, well, something that can get the strength in the mid 2v2 is what you're telling me. So for RNG, we'll have a look. At the very least, folks, I forgot to mention, there were some rumors about 13.6 coming up, but LPL is still in 13.5. So 13.5 still here. We're not going anywhere for the whole time of playoffs. It's going to stay here for continuity, as we're going to get the Wukong versus Vi. A bit of a shame, but at the very least, Kennen comes out. So, Kitty, there are a couple of circles being created now from TT.
Yep, Kennen has been a very popular pick in 13.5, especially blind, but I am going to be a little bit scared for TT since something like the Silas is still up and available, and this Sion pick, we mentioned it before, it is RNG's vital pick when it does come to those early game wins and cheeses. Yep, 90% win rate over 10 games. So Bree has only lost on it once. And the series that comes to mind is the one up against Ultra Prime, where they replicated a very similar strategy that LEC BDS did, and they pulled it off successfully. So I'm really scared for TT when it does come to those early levels, because we know RNG, they're very creative. But with the Aphelios getting locked in for RNG, there's going to just be so much focus down on the bottom lane, but still, Huanfeng can just adapt to a utility AD carry, which he's very happy to take.
Again, Jin is what we'd know him for, especially the global audience. Something that has been seen so much here in the LPL has been moving more towards the Jinx, which is now taken away by RNG. Thresh on the other side too to pair up with the Aphelios, and I like that they're getting rid of the Draven Kitty. Some of the strength in that 2v2 to be created that is now being denied. The Thresh is a good note, though, considering that we normally see Ming on engages to lead the team. And as you were saying at the start, Ming on engages syncs up so much better with Wei. It's a reliable source here. So a good little takeaway, as RNG also lose that Ahri you're mentioning before.
Yeah, but with the Ahri getting taken off, there is still the possibility of a LeBlanc being locked in for Angel, as that champion has been rising in priority ever since the Q changes, so I'm not going to be surprised if he does opt into that. The Nautilus is going to be the natural response, since I don't want Ming on Lulu. I think he needs to get the ball rolling early alongside Wei, and especially when you already have such a stable win con when it does come to the late game. You just need that stability for the early game, and Angel saving that counter pick. LeBlanc is still on the table for now.
Okay, so we'll just have to find out and see at the very least what option they want to go for, because for TT, Anti-Flex still available as Varus gets locked in for Huanfeng. And this is something here for the man who has played this the most alongside the Zeri, been one of his most successful champions alongside that Aphelios. So TT had a bit of range here, while Maokai's being questioned as well. Remember that we have a top laner,
right?
But like, is it Maokai support? Well, I guess hovers are hovers, right, Kitty? This would be much better. A takeaway from Ming. Rather, he's already got his Nautilus, but rather a takeaway within the lane itself. So we get some pretty good CC lock. As now, Kitty, let's find out, what does Angel do?
Angel's just gonna lock in his typical mage, as there isn't too much danger when it comes to TT's team composition in terms of DPS. I'm already a little bit confused by what TT has locked in, because Varus, I'm not the biggest fan ever since the BT and Overheal duo when it comes to champions like the Aphelios or even the Jinx that do just thrive of lifesteal. So if you do decide to opt into something that is like the poke Varus, it's going to be very sad, since you poke them down and they just heal it back up. But when you do go onto the on-hit build, you're up against something like the Sion, where I think your range is so short, killing the Sion is going to be impossible since you just don't have the DPS for it. However, we have seen AP Varuses being introduced in the LPL, and they build Rabadons and the Zonyas.
Oh, yeah. So that'll be interesting to track the Varus build at the very least. It's an opening game here for TT with their debut into playoffs. And Kitty, I want to just quickly touch on RNG's comp, because now with Ryze, but either way, it is up to both TT and RNG to showcase class. Round one, the opening of spring playoffs, RNG versus TT. Loser goes home, winner has another round to play in a couple of days. And all I can say is this, Kitty, BLG will be watching this one with bated breath to find out who they're going up against. Either way, it's going to be a long run for these teams if they can make the impossible reality. TT, welcome to playoffs for the first ever time. You guys might remember in the past, it was Sino Dragon, who Gala was actually on in their debut in 2019 spring. That team developed to DMO, and then later to TT. Different organization, very different squad, so it is TT's debut. But Gala took this original organization to playoffs in their very first split, Kitty. So it is nice to see Gala going up against them, and especially with Angel going up against Huanfeng, old Suning members. We've got a bit of rivalry here in multiple classes across the Rift.
Yeah, I still think Suning for that Worlds final was one of the best finals that we've gotten in the Worlds internationals. But of course, a lot of rivalries, like you've been saying, across the Rift. And I'm excited since we have the win con set out for both of these teams. RNG, they're just playing front to back, very straightforward, and it's all about Gala. As Angel, he is on something like the Ryze that isn't as explosive, but it provides a lot of utility. While on TT, a lot of CC. But do they have enough damage, as they do need this Kennen online ASAP to provide that burst of DPS?
You made a good point about how he plays and operates in the game. Flanking angle is going to be huge here. As Wei, meanwhile, we're going to point out this is a bit of an invade on the top side blue. I'm not sure if he's spotted on a ward, because you can see, Kitty, there's some good raptor wards, some entry wards in the tri-brush up the top lane. Surely Wei would have been spotted, right, going for this endeavor.
Nah, man just queued over and he is unspotted as RNG. I do want to see Ming linking up with Wei, as they are on such aggressive picks for this early game. But as Breeze is on Sion, I'm not expecting too many plays being played towards the top side, as we do have not a lot of damage when it comes to the Ryze and Sion when it comes to the trio.
Beichuan. Gank. Again, he was spotted out, but Wei's not moving. The stun up is beautiful from Ucal. Match the flash, get Conqueror. Beichuan. The first kill of 2023 playoffs goes to the Monkey King.
Angel being a little bit disrespectful, as Ucal just held onto a stun that entire time, and a very beautiful first blood going into TT. Wei is getting a little bit desperate, trying to make a respawn play in the top.
Oh, misses! Wei didn't even flash. And TT get away with it.
He knew. I mean, to be fair, Beichuan looked at his blue and he's like, where did it go? So Wei had to be in the top side, and Hoya respected that beautifully by just dodging the Q straight away, but Beichuan is going for more.
The timing is huge. He did it mid, now he's doing it top. TT open playoffs with 2 kills against Royal Never Give Up. What an opener.
Oh no, how is Ming ever going to link up with Wei if there's already 2 kills in the solo lanes going over to TT? This is where we want to credit Beichuan being such an active jungler, as he just has that aggressive nature in him. Being a Wukong who is traditionally known to be weak in the early game, but he's just getting these ganks pulled off, as this ward doesn't spot him, which is... Oh, it does spot him.
It does.
But they
know he's there.
They just don't care.
Surely not.
I mean,
that's just so greedy.
Angel just didn't really expect the flash Q, which is a guaranteed stun, and with both of these flashes committed, Angel is dead, as he just wanted to push in the wave. I'm not too sure. I think Angel has adapted to this playstyle where he's constantly looking for that mid priority, as it's just become a habit, and sometimes a little bit of disrespect just means the first blood going into the Wukong's hands.
That is just more than disrespect. That is just unbelievable. RNG not only get punished there, Kitty, it's a topside kill as well, where you were saying to me moments ago, a lot of TT's comp revolves around the fact of Hoya getting ahead early. Now, already with that kill, we can say exactly that. Already building up a bit of a CS lead, and a dominant laning phase against the Sion is to be expected from here on out as well.
Yeah, this Hoya pick for this game 1 is going to be very important, but my eyes are onto the rune pages that Huanfeng has decided to go, which is the Comet, so that does signify it is going to be a poke Varus. And I believe I saw in the rune pages that Gala went over heal, so he is just going to default into BT even first if he wants to. I'm assuming he is going to go Gale Force, since there's going to be so much CC or lockdown from the side of TT when it does come to these major objectives, but that's still up to him on what he decides to build. So team fights, Huanfeng, when he does get those items online, which is low economy, TT will be looking to win those mid-game skirmishes when it comes to the dragons.
So then walk me through a little bit about how RNG mitigate this, because Kitty, the early game has already been pretty dreadful. RNG have been outclassed now in 2 different lanes through jungle. You were saying that Ming needs to link up a little bit with Wei. Are we waiting for the level 6 mark? Are we looking for Ming to start getting out of the lane with a solid push here? Like, what is the plan?
Well, RNG has a lot of good setup as well. The Vi, even the Graviton from Gala. Another kill in the mid lane.
No way. Is it going to come through? Angel doesn't have flash. Again, the damage is good. Tibbers chases him and Angel has to walk out. Kitty doesn't have teleport, doesn't have realm warp. He's got to stay and absorb this wave.
I'm pretty sure he only lived because he chucked 2 refillable pots straight away.
Yeah.
But Angel is having a very tough time as Wei is just counter jungling as the Vi, but you can't really out farm as that Vi since you want to be the active jungler for this game 1. But Beichuan is doing your job and even starting this first dragon.
Sacrificing a lot of camps for it as well. Wei now looking up towards top side, but Hoya's backed up and Wei won't find it. The Herald's not up for a minute 32, and Kitty, now I've got to ask that question again. Tell me what you were going to say about RNG trying to mitigate this early game.
Well, RNG, their team composition is very good late, but if you get 2 behind in this early game, which is currently already at 2-0, and we see Angel down around 10 CS as this wave gets pushed in, it's going to become a very big problem because how are you going to get to that late game? RNG, they can find angles since you have the Gravitum, you have the Realm Up available as well now. But Wei is just not anywhere near this bottom side and always hovering Breathe, but I don't think Breathe can carry up against Hoya.
And Kitty, I think there's something important to note as well is when you talk to me about TT's comp and utilizing Hoya's angles, you know, the poke damage and getting some of this burst down, I think when you're ahead in the early game, when you're able to clear turrets and open up the map a bit, get some of that deep vision, but TT especially, Kennen thrives in chokes of vision, or rather lack thereof. When Kennen has no vision he's competing with, and it's such deep warding coming from TT, it feels almost easy to get some of these flanks off.
Yeah, but the good thing about that is that RNG has already set up so many beautiful wards in the topside jungle with the Herald spawning in 20 seconds. You see Ming already rotating first, but TT, they are known to rotate 5 people towards this first Herald, which Gala has already realized, and he's going to be there first. So it does seem like RNG is going to prioritize his Herald first, which is kind of breaking up the usual tempo of what RNG is comfortable with, since they are a mainly dragon prioritizing team. But this is going to still be very good, as I'm expecting it to be dropped in that bottom lane.
It's already going down pretty quick as well, so as we just take a step back to the contest, it doesn't really exist, even with Yao Yao making the move. For now, the bottom lane that you speak of is Huanfeng's by right as he pushes up the minion wave. But TT looking for a fight after the fact. Ucal has Tippers again, but stun is 1 off. While Huanfeng just hits away in the turret. Not an on-hit Varus here, Kitty, but still enough DPS to get at least 1. Maybe 2 turrets with more minions denied as he's not going anywhere.
Look at where Gala is. He's top lane now. They're lane swapping Hysterics. And that's exactly what RNG does best. When they have the sound, they say, screw it, the bottom lane's winning or losing in this fact. We're just going to swap it. Is he going to solo kill him?
He did flash away though, chance corruption after the fact, and I guess that answers that question. Kitty, just like game 1, although a little bit later, remember in the regular season, that was when RNG pulled off like the early game lane swap against TT.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you saw that promotion of RNG. They're like, we smashed you once, we're gonna smash you again. And I guess they're gonna do it the exact same way. But RNG, they are looking like they're gonna go back to bottom lane. Wei is going to drop it right here as Huanfeng doesn't have that flash anymore. And Ming level 6, this is going to be very dangerous. So Beichuan needs to hover this.
Well, it's Huanfeng without chains, without flash, looks to get exposed. Wei's patience might pay off here, but Huanfeng reading it out. He's going up towards, well, where's he going? He's going with Yao Yao and Beichuan. He's playing it so very cautious.
But he's going to be down a wave, I guess. He just can't walk up because Yao Yao and Beichuan doesn't spot Wei here.
He's like, I've got to come in eventually, right? Wei now going to see Beichuan on a ward. Huanfeng eventually moves. How many minions did he miss? Absolutely none so far. So for Huanfeng, that was just, I think that's a bit of experience showing, Kitty. Patience being a virtue as well, where a TT are really on the ball here to start off this best of 5.
Yeah, RNG, you always know that Wei is going to drop this Herald for the ADC, so Huanfeng sensing the Vi very close by as she was able to get a lot of that lane ward priority from the earlier play. TT, Yao Yao, and Beichuan holding hands very calmly together, just gets rid of it, and Huanfeng, of course, did survive for that 30 seconds. But yeah, this is great stuff for TT because you do want to get those items online for this lethality Varus, who is slightly low economy compared to the Aphelios items. And when you do get the poking online before Gala gets that BT, this Aphelios is going to be very killable for these dragons.
I think as well, you know, when we get that item on Varus too, we know that for RNG, Kitty, they're going to be trying to walk into him. But the poke's just going to be so much to deal with, and we'll take a closer look towards the dragon you just mentioned. 30 seconds till it comes up. I want to also note, Hoya with his Hextech Protobelt. That's come in nice and early too, and he might not have TP, but he might need to move down as Yao Yao absorbs the damage from Angel. Good little bit of poke here, but apart from that, RNG are in the river first. 15 seconds to go before it spawns.
Like you said, Hoya doesn't have that flash available. So RNG very comfortable with just overcoming the vision control that TT has managed to place down. I'm just looking at the CS gap in top lane because I saw Hoya zoning off the Sion for ages, so I want Breed to just rotate because you're already losing so much in that top isolated matchup.
True. They don't care, I guess. They got first dragon, they're like, whatever. They're willing to give it up to TT. As you said, no teleport available. So for RNG, as they start this dragon up, it's taken long enough. The isolated matchup continues. They want to pick. There's Graviton. Great line connects onto Yao Yao, but it's a Leona. All the players flashed away from. When you ever engage a Leona, Ming too far forward, poked down. The Varus damage is there. Kitty, you named it. As a double kill goes over to Ucal. TT are smashing down RNG in their first playoff. This looks easy.
They were so split, Hysterics. They spent everything onto Yao Yao and they didn't even kill the support Leona without Hoya, might I add. So that was just RNG disrespecting their own ground and being so overpushed and desperate when they have a scaling composition. You don't need to do that. But I guess Ming doesn't know his limits anymore.
I mean, to RNG, because this game one is all the wrong things we saw. Kitty, in the regular season, RNG filled us with a bit of dismay, a bit of question marks. Like, TT are exposing them completely now with a 4K gold lead. They got that dragon off the back of it as well. And there's nothing right now that you can say about RNG. It's like, oh yeah, hopefully scaling comes into it. Meanwhile, the game could be over in 15 more minutes at this rate.
Yeah, Gala did set up that kill with the Graviton, but you just don't have the damage to ever fight a 4v4 right now. And TT having the amount of KCC that they have, the purple and green gun isn't gonna do it for this team fight, as you just straight up lose the 4v4 as they were too overextended.
Again, just great gameplay, TT. Oh, there's iBoy in the background. We haven't seen him yet, but he's like, I wish I was there. At the very least, he sits by and watches on with the rest of the coaching staff. TT, I might even get excited about this one. There's a flash. He gets him. Doesn't even need the ulti. Rather, it was used a bit earlier, but Hoya with a solo kill. Welcome to your first LPL playoffs champion.
Hysterics, we desperately need Wei to do something because the scoreline is currently 6-0. 2 dragons as well. I just don't see this fight doing too much as the Sion getting killed as well. 30 CS down now. It's so hard. Maybe an ultimate here?
Realm Warp. Okay, there's the flash. The ult under turret is good. Hoya has nothing to use, but Wei's taken one. Too many shots. Angel takes the rest. He ain't dead. As you said, we need to see more from Wei, but there ain't no Wei in this game, Kitty.
There ain't no way from this game as he's just gonna get away 2-0 because Angel just doesn't have the damage. We're gonna take another replay of what happened in this top lane and how Breed got so low. But with the Proto Belt in Hoya's hand being 30 CS up, also a kill in his pockets, he just can't ever win that 1v1 when it comes to pure damage. I think Breed was a little bit too greedy with his ultimate, held on for a bit too long. He could have gotten out, but unfortunately...
Poke, Incinerate, Hail of Arrows. That was just clean. RNG, I don't know what you're doing, but like, let's be real. TT are making them look even weaker.
And TT's just going to get this Herald for free once again. I mean, this is a very wonderful game one for the side of TT. And definitely showing up to RNG that they're out for revenge, Hysterics.
With a 7-0 start, revenge for the regular season, a 2-0 as you were saying, and the games did look quite dominant, all in all. RNG now down 4,000 gold in their opener. Double Dragon already went over, and we look at the items being picked up. That Varus, who's now stacking his tier even more so. The Yomu's start as well. Kitty, the Kennen, As Ucal, by the way, getting first turret casually in the top side. I was going to say to Kennen, who is very close to a Void Staff. He's just picked up 1250 worth of stats towards that second item. Hoya's level 12 as well.
Whoa, Hoya's level 12, Gala's level 9. How is he going to survive these team fights, guys? I mean, Ming does have the exhaust, so hopefully when it does come to the next dragon, which is going to be spawning in 1 minute and 30 seconds, Ming is going to spot out Hoya from that flank or even just walking straight up and pop that exhaust perfectly, because I don't know how this AD carry is going to survive from a nearing 2-item Kennen, like you said.
It's so easy. It's so easy right now for TT. That's all I can say. The Kennen, who we said, again, had to get again. Sounds like a broken record, but Kitty, Hoya was sometimes, let's just say, the linchpin to TT also finding losses. In the regular season, I feel like Hoya showed some brilliant games, but then also showed some, I don't know, questionable moments where it felt like the rest of TT had to carry him forward. So it is really nice to see that TT have come into playoffs, and this player who can sometimes be a bit of a weakness has been one of their greatest strengths in game number 1. For TT, their strength continues compounding because mid's going to get another charge here. Herald opens it up. The game's getting closer towards 6,000 at 16 minutes. Dragon is theirs for the taking. In 45 seconds, TT should have this like a bag of snacks. I don't know. Bag of chips,
hungry.
man. I am starving. Yeah, TT are too.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the map state. We said that RNG, they thrive on making these picks from the amount of vision control that they're able to set up before these major objectives. But without that, RNG looking extremely exposed, and there is just no kills going on for RNG. Maybe they're just holding on to the thought that they can get to 3 items. They're praying that Gala does his Gala thing and just dances on TT. But when you have a Varus or we have a Leona or adding with the flash, Hoya nearly having the flash, and now Salt Point, I'm not too sure if RNG can just keep giving these major objectives over for any longer.
And he fired an Annie as well, that when you engage, has Zonya's already built up too. And for TT, got full control of this objective. They'll be heading to Salt Point this early on. And it has just been a bit of a masterclass in round 1 of playoffs so far, but only from one team. Ocean picked up, okay. Ocean Soul. Oh, Kitty, I had to say it. Let's be real. RNG look like headless chickens. And I think that's the one thing where, you know, you don't always have to criticize one team for another team playing well, but RNG have been pretty clueless. I don't know, you don't have to take a stance on this. I can go down with the ship if need be, but it does feel relevant to say.
Wait, talking about headless chickens, do you see what Breeze's building? That's a hull breaker first for Sion.
He's, I guess he's just going to be permanent side laning. Now's not the greatest time to look at that as, Angel, you're too close. But they are looking for Ucal.
Breeze is just being a little sneaky Sion in this bush, which is very classic of RNG, but I think it's a little bit too late. 18 minutes too late for this bottom lane bush cheese. As I'm just assuming with this hull breaker getting picked up, Angel and Wei need to play towards just Gala. You can't play towards the Sion anymore. Get out. Go away. Let Sion be and just hover Gala, because TT just has so many activating tools where it's going to be extremely dangerous without that QSS.
All right, so let's start that timer towards the next dragon. Let's look and see what RNG can do on the route of those picks. It's more like TT opening up the last outer turret at this point. Sion is heading top, so Breeze, you can see Kitty. I think he altered to get further through the wave, and now he's going to the inner turret. RNG are collapsing on this, committing to this, but Hoya should be able to match, meaning that, again, TT just get a better trade without much traded by RNG in response.
Yeah, with 3 people showing in that bot side, Wei is just going to counter jungle on this Vi once again, which honestly hasn't done too much. But Breathe looking in that hull breaker for this game 1, it's not Breathe anymore, it's the Breathe, if you know what I'm saying. He's gonna just send in the side lane, because TT, I mean, to be fair, he'll get to this point where Hoya doesn't have the damage to kill the Sion anymore, and Hoya is going to be forced to 5v5, but we don't know how late that game is going to be, because he's still working on his second item.
But that's what you're saying. You're saying that there is a time with RNG. Again, if RNG can stall this game out, and yes, it's 5,000 gold, but Kitty, if RNG can stall it out further, next dragon seems to be key in doing that. Maybe finding themselves a sneaky Baron to delay the game, then RNG have a chance, despite how horribly the early game went. But Still, Kitty, if Ocean Soul goes over, do you can it? Do you feel like it's too much to give away? Or maybe for TT, it's not enough for them to kind of collapse and end the reigns of this game one?
I think something that is possible is that RNG can give up this 4th Dragon Soul and work towards the Baron. Just sneak it at 20 minutes and just YOLO it, because this game state is so doomed. All outer towers already gone. You can't really walk up after the Dragon Soul gets taken as well. There's just not enough economy to build Hilka either, where it's going to be really tough. But RNG, if they're going to take a chance, this is it.
Well, they're going to lose mid-turret in the meantime, though. I will say that. This chance is a little bit dangerous as they're backing off. TT don't have vision for the time being, so Beichuan needs to get in there. Control ward down. Baron resets. They still have the inside track. Inner turret still goes down. And RNG, what they achieved there is losing more map control on a whim that TT seems to be aware of.
That was a really lucky spot up by TT. If you spot behind the Baron pit, there was actually a very sneaky ward placed by Yaya, and I believe that Gala blast planted over, and that's the only reason why they scored that the RNG was missing on the map, even though no one was protecting that tier 2 tower in mid lane. But how is Ucal already on 3 items in 21 minutes?
Great question. And I know you've used the word economy for Huanfeng, low econ build. Like, mid isn't top. We don't have Rabadons, but still void stuff.
That is so unlucky from the replay.
Yeah, it really is. As you said, Kitty, nice find there. The ward from TT. I think, again, that's where the compliments have been coming from. TT are very switched on. The warding coverage has been great as well. And even look now, that same ward exists around the Raptor pit as well to watch the entrance towards Baron. The map otherwise might be very blind, but that's because, Kitty, we're getting 30 seconds towards the next dragon. The soul for TT, that would deny an Ocean Soul from a front-to-back team as well.
And Hoya currently doesn't have a TP ward to work off just quite yet for this dragon. So it is going to be a little bit tough trying to find that flank angle. But there are so many flashes online. Hysteric double void stuff for the side of TT as well. Gala needs to cleanse everything with that one button, or he's just gonna die.
I was just ready for Beichuan to jump in and kill the man. It's now for TT Soul Flare, forces Angel to flash away. RNG is split here. 2 members in River, and look at where Wei is right now. He has to rejoin the team. He's looking for a flanking angle, but as Dragon starts off, mid-wave's getting pushed in, and TT, Kitty, they're drawing this one out. They're waiting for RNG to overstep.
Behind as Ucal and Beichuan haven't been spotted.
They're trying to run. Breathe is going to be the one to see them first of all. Tanky enough for the time being. Gala not hit by an arrow from Huanfeng. TT now group up as 5 yet again, as you can already see that Varus damage, 775.
What
and the fight hasn't
doing?
even done anything, as that Realm Warp, it's nothing, you're right. Ucal gets some damage onto Wei, the jungler, and then engaged with Gala. Almost dies, that's the Gale Force out of there, but Hoya may have sacrificed his own life. However, look at Huanfeng attack. Angel has no Realm Warp. We saw it used before as Breathe is getting destroyed by TT. The Thunder, if it could talk, it would be screaming right now.
I'm screaming for Gala. I thought he was gonna die, but I think the mentality of RNG for this game 1 is gone. 4 dragons, 1 herald, and now the Baron also is on the plates. This game should just be over by this point, because that was the last fight that RNG needed to take. As just look at Hoya in this fight. He just flashed ulti Gala, and he's pretty much gone without that bloodthirst either. He can't rejoin the fight, and Breathe not enough damage to finish anyone off. As his Q also got stopped by the Cyclone, there's just no damage at this point, as they were just so far behind in that early game. Angel using the rumble very weirdly, might I add, from earlier on this fight. RNG looked so lost.
Like, again, it's just crazy because RNG are meant to be Spring Kings. Now, that mainly came from Xiaohu, but the thing is that RNG is an organization. We're known as Spring Kings as well. They really adapted that, and it was kind of cemented when they won their 3rd MSI, Kitty. And it's kind of just crazy to think that RNG, as a team that, yes, lost Xiaohu, it's huge, but still regained Ming. Got Angel, who's had some pretty decent splits and always been an above mid-tier mid laner, and kept the rest. Now struggling against Thunder Talk Gaming in game 1 of their best of 5ers. TT are collapsing around the Baron now with an Ocean Soul. They've got 6,000 gold in the lead, and Kitty, we have an Elder in 441. Like, TT are so massive to the point where Ucal even has a Magize You could keep listing out these details, and everything right now would continue showing you that TT have game one by the husk.
Angel is now also sitting on 15, but like you said, Angel replacing Xiaohu. Very big shoes to fill in that mid lane. But I think Angel is just a little bit too inconsistent when it does come to the early game, and RNG really exposed for that as well. They have no idea that this Baron's getting started.
No, well, at least they have an idea that it's somewhat in the vicinity. Wave's coming through, trying to buy time for Angel, but look, Ming's caught out. The friendly neighborhood tibbers. Ming flashes over the wall, Huanfeng can't reach, while Angel has spent this whole time getting turret, so it is a positive play for simply a flash. So RNG should be happy that they're getting at least something, as Way has to just get on out of there. While Angel is getting some objective bounty and continuously hovering, trying to threaten while TT go back to Baron.
RNG is really lucky since TT burnt all their flashes for that soul point fight. They didn't have anything to just stop Wei from going on the flank and trying to be sneaky around the vision on Baron. But now, I mean, they're just starting it again, and Angel doesn't look like he's going to be rotating.
Well, Ucal sitting on the back end. Breathe is here first, and you're right, Wei's not even nearby. So Baron has been kaput. As for TT, ulti dodged away by Hoya through the mid lane. Gale forced away from Gala. Solar Flare was huge, but Ming burnt his flash before. Again, just like Angel's ulti, I think Ming is going to get bitten in the bum as hang on, Solar Flare rather. Zeta's blade from Yao Yao with the flash was a bit out of range. Ucal's still going to try and chase this one up, but he's just going to run past Ming.
Ming!
Not sure about that one, champion. Call it ambulance, but it ain't for Ucal as RNG get 12 deaths now against their name. And Kitty with Baron, this onslaught is going to be horrendous against our red-sided team.
I'm really sad because Huanfeng, he is going to go, or he's not going the AP build just quite yet. He has a stopwatch available as he does believe this game is going to end in the next 3 minutes with this Baron push now working towards that mid and also the top tower as Ucal does rotate there. But this game, Wei is desperately trying to find angles, but he's so squishy, he doesn't even have the ult.
Breathe needs to ult himself. Huanfeng going to be decimated smash, but RNG aren't pulling the trigger. Huanfeng against a tank, he's a lethality Varus, and he's doing that much because Breathe hasn't had the time to work with Kitty. A great showing as Beichuan now meets with Wei. There's the realm warp, everyone's getting in. Yao Yao will block it for now. His solar flare is up again. Ming slowed down as Breathe joins in, but Beichuan just solos out Wei. Monkey versus angry pink-haired lady, and the monkey wins. As Ucal follows through, Breathe is out of there with his own little drifting maneuver. But TT might have just secured the game. 3-2 rather, members down. RNG's base is getting onslaughted, and so many people came in favoring RNG, but Royal never give up. We're going to have to give up on the back of this Nexus for game one. Thunder Talks debut into playoffs, and they hit hard.
Hysterics game 1, 15-1 kill. RNG got 1 kill over 30 minutes. And that was in Angel's hand. I mean, TT kind of just made amateurs out of RNG, but that's not the case. I'm so shocked.
I just can't believe, again, with the crazy emphasis we had on RNG being able to front and back, being able to, I guess, never give up fights, but also being able to take everything with a hair's breadth because Gala was able to carry, that we get into this game one and it was just all over the place. That dynamic wasn't there. The concentration, the control. I think RNG, when they're on fire, Kitty, can be quite controlled with how they set up some of these fights, but it was just a messy early game. Like, that was one of the worst games of RNG I think I've seen all split.
Can we check Wei if it's Wei? Because he wasn't bot lane once that entire fight. We were talking about how Wei is that person who lives in the walls of bottom lane and gets Gala ahead. You had the Nautilus set up. You had Gravitum available for the Aphelios. But my man was allergic to bottom lane. And he was failing to find any angles in topside either. Where Angel, on the other hand, he was just in another world of his own.
I just feel like we're looking at a completely different RNG. Again, different world. I like that. Because Wei is someone who, I keep saying this, like, when he has control, he really exerts it well. Kitty, I want to say, though, for TT, Beichuan in the early game, insane game. Like, on this Wukong, he had a really lot of influence. He was seen on Vision. Angel disrespected him, so he got a gank off and got the kill for first blood. But then even the Vision evading in topside, the timing onto Breathe, set up Hoya to have a successful game as well.
how do you pull off a mid-successful gank and then the top one? Because
Yeah.
we know that flashes, double flashes were burnt for the mid lane, as Angel unfortunately fell since the Q was a guaranteed stun. Why did Breathe also die in the top lane? Why wasn't Wei around there? Wasn't Wei in the top side? There was just no countering from the side of RNG, no proactiveness from them either, where TT, they just got to do whatever they wanted in this early game.
And again, it shouldn't have been the case. I think RNG are to blame partially, but there are really good signs of TT there. Map control was beautiful. I think around the objectives, Kitty, their setup was really clean too. Even though RNG went for the Herald, like, okay, Huanfeng stayed bot. They traded their losses and Huanfeng got some plating, got more setup, and ended up having a great game himself on this Varus. Yeah.
Don't look at Gala's damage. 6,000? I mean, Huanfeng
But what do you do?
What do you do? Because TT, they came into this game with a plan. They're like, we are going to kill Gala in every single fight. And I think this is where RNG's team composition really gets exposed, where they don't really have a second carry as Angel is on the rise. I would have expected a LeBlanc where it's more aggressive in the early game. It pairs well with Wei and it sets the tempo early. But with Angel on the rise, I mean, you were just CSing in the mid lane, not rotating much with that realm of either. And they just crumbled across the game.
Again, just beautiful stuff coming through from TT. Seeing the 100% kill participation from Wei. He was there, he was involved, but RNG, in the end, barely got a kill anyway. So a dominant start to our round 1 of playoffs. TT coming in red hot, and for game 2, we're going to have to see if RNG can muster up and recover from whatever that showing was.